Thursday, July the 8th, 2021, and I'm over in the East Buckinghamshire village of Swanbourne, about to undertake 11.5 miles of a Winslow circular, starting here in Swanbourne, courtesy of Country Walking magazine again. And it's a bit of a mixed afternoon so far. No rain was forecast when I left, although it has been unpredictable as usual with the Met. Sometimes they thought it was going to rain, sometimes they thought it wasn't. So I've taken a gamble, and let's hope that come around 6 PM today we haven't had any. But as I say, it is hit and miss. And appropriately, this is the Church of St Swithin, with his day being what, 7 days hence. So fingers crossed that he looks down on me today. Right, it's a bit of a late one again, so about 1:30. Let's press on, see what awaits. Bit of road walking to kick off with. Initially down Station Road in my case, because I'm doing this in an anti-clockwise direction for lunch purposes. There are around half a dozen churches on the walk today, but because of the late start I'll probably have mine at Little Wootton, which is the first of them. But let's see how it pans out. It's quite mild today, humid, 20 degrees, very little breeze. That doesn't bode well, and we're not even in a field yet. Oh dear. Looks like this verge has been freshly decimated today. Absolutely scandalous. So it looks like East Bucks, as a minimum, don't follow plant life's guidance either. This is actually the Mid-Shires Way I'm walking at the moment as well. I mean, look how low they've gone with the flail. It's absolutely ludicrous. What difference is it going to make whether the verge was present? It certainly makes a difference if it's not. Back to some kind of normality now with the verge. And as you can see, this is a fairly wide road. Makes no odds at all to cutting it. So I don't see why they bother. Doesn't affect vision. So the GPX track takes me across this field through this gate and over beyond those trees. But I noticed that the map doesn't show a public right of way, the way the GPX track is going. And I also noticed some construction stuff over there, indicative of the east-west rail link. So I'm going to stick with the road and follow that round, see what happens. Better safe than sorry. See, there's a lot of EWR signs around, which must be east-west rail. So there's today's ignorance. Absolutely outrageous. So I'm still not on track because the paths have been extinguished. And I did speak to OS in the week about this. They claim their maps online are only 6 months in arrears. But clearly the work here has been going on for longer than 6 months, I can say. So I'm still doing road walking at the moment. See, there is the footpath I should have come out on. But there wasn't any way of getting onto it at the other end. So I've done 2.5 miles of road walking so far, which hasn't been fantastic. Passing the Memorial Hall in Little Horwood. Started in 28 and also acts as a post office. So there you have it. Okay, there's St Nicholas Church, Little Horwood, where I did consider having my lunch. It's 2:30 already, but because of the nature of the walk thus far, I'm going to press on to the next village, Great Horwood, because the next section of walking is also on the road, I notice. And I doubt there'll be much to film there, so I need to make pace while it's possible. Passing the Shoulder of Mutton historic village pub with Kit's Gate here. Come across one of those before somewhere. Can't remember where that was. Kit's Gate. And I certainly haven't been here before. So heading for Great Horwood at this junction here. Now as we approach Great Horwood, this section of road walking is actually on the GPS track. So a bit unusual for country walking magazine walks. They're usually a bit more decent than this, in the sense of not so much road walking, half of which in my case today though has been enforced. More housing going up on our green belt again, and all because the population was 2 billion in 1927 and is about 8 billion now. So as you can see, a fourfold increase in not too many years. I think I worked it out, it's 1 million people increase every year. Outrageous. Hope I got the maths right there, but unbelievable. So this is Great Horwood Church in the distance. My lunchtime stop today, all being well. Passing the Crown, which is just in front of the church, and a small bit of village green here. Interesting memorial just outside the church in the brick wall for King and Country. Thanks lads. And lasses of course, although it's hard to distinguish who's who here. It does just refer to the male gender at the base there, as was the case back in the day I suppose. So here we have St James's Church, Great Horwood, and that clock is right, so it was a good idea to press on. Still just gone 2:15, round about my usual walking time lunch at the moment these days. There are 2 seats in this churchyard, one not far from where I filmed a second ago, near the entrance, but I like this one, in memory of Elsie Hampson. It's a bit different, and it's also out of the way. Well, a little bit more out of the way than the other one. So, lunch is served, and what a wonderful wildflower cemetery they've got there, look, with the older graves. Absolutely spot on, that is. I mean, these graves don't get tended to by relatives, so let nature have it. It's the way I'd like to be, buried amongst all these flowers and worms and God knows what else. Trouble is, in my hometown, cemetery's full up, you can't get in, and I don't fancy being cremated, so that judgment still needs to be made. What to do? So as you can see, 3:25, lunch has been had. I believe I'm about 4.5 miles into the walk, so 7 more miles to go, and hopefully they'll be more rural than what I've encountered thus far, and the GPX will be more accurate as well. So let's press on. Now believe it or not, I'm walking the North Bucks Way at the moment, my onward journey through this hole in the hedge. with all that traffic, you have to walk for about 500, 600 yards. And I don't think that's very impressive, to be honest with you. Busy road this. So let's hope that's the end of the road walking for now. And we can press on into the open countryside. Nice hay meadow I've just stomped through. First stile of the day. Thankfully you don't encounter many of these around these days. Come away from the path I was on, do a left over this ditch here, crossing on the footbridge. I think the landowner should be maintaining this path, at least cutting the grass back a bit, a metre wide. It's quite tough going underfoot. There's me saying about vegetation earlier, but this is different. It's about knee height, this stuff, and I think it's been left purposely to deter people from walking it. Don't recall encountering this before. This field, by contrast, is wonderful. Clover, about ankle height here, really is full of wildlife. See, this farmer has done exactly what I suggested. So, very variable in their attitude towards walkers, aren't they? Good man. More field margins at this point. Wheat fields on my right. And I notice from the map I've got an A road to deal with ahead. Let's hope it's a field margin that runs down the side of that. Could be problematical otherwise. And the farmer's good handiwork continues across this very sad looking crop of oats. My favourite crop, of course, cereal wise. But it's only about knee height. Maybe that's the variety or the genetic formation. Yeah, thankfully there's a footpath stroke cycleway on this A road. Now entering another equestrian centre, probably not dissimilar to the one I was in at Royston the other week, or near Royston, Newsells. Interesting, they've got a animal physiotherapy college here. Bet that's well paid. Fine looking statue there of a famous horse, no doubt. No name indication though. Fine looking beast. Entrance there to Addington Manor. And immediately opposite our onward journey, it's now the Crossbucks Way. Through this, or underneath this nice beech hedge, which looks like the kind you get at Aintree, that the horses jump over. Beech's Brook. Now, as you can see, this is going to be a traipse because the path hasn't been cleared in any way, shape or form. So hidden in the trees here on a fence post is the indicator for our onward journey, which is over towards that next copse somewhere. Now walking through prime tick country, long grass and sheep about. Hence that's why I never wear shorts on my walks. Now I don't know what's going on here, but this is bang out of order. This stile is covered with barbed wire at the top, look. So I've reported that on Pathwatch. Absolutely incredible behaviour. There is a notice here from the East West Rail alliance. It's no good having the notice here when you're sort of like a couple of miles away from any alternative. And no alternative given either, which is wrong. So this is bang out of order. I managed to negotiate that barbed wire style, but there's another one beyond it that you can't get through at all. And the railway line that I should be crossing is only about 200 yards yonder. And there's men working on it. So, you know, they didn't give us enough warning, so I've now got to traipse back about a mile to get back to where I was and try and find a way around this. So this walk today is turning out to be a nightmare. So that's about a mile and 20 minutes wasted, at least. The signage should be back here before you even start venturing into that field. Absolutely atrocious. So now taking this quiet B road alternative, hopefully, that would have been so much easier to follow had they given us advance warning. So finally got to Winslow, which means we'll soon be back on the GPX track. Quite amazing today's been. Hardly a country walk. Passing St Lawrence in Winslow. Unusual dedication that, St Lawrence. Diocese of Oxford here. Well, just as the grand finale, this, believe it or not, is the North Bucks Way. There's a footpath in there somewhere. Absolutely incredible. Reported it to Pathwatch. Decent vista over on my right there. Pretty decent set of hills they are. Must be the Chiltern Ridge. Well, I haven't said much about the ash today because I haven't seen that many being on the roadside. Although those that I have seen have once again been decimated. But I did a little bit of reading in the week, and guess where ash dieback originates from? Yep, you got it, China. The Manchurian ash, which itself is resistant to the disease, but has given many other types of ash the illness. So I joked about COVID last week being the virus of the ash, dieback being the COVID of the ash tree, and it is exactly that, working in a similar way. Woodland Trust tell you all about this, and they estimate that 80% of our ash will die. 20% therefore will resist it, creating a new, hopefully sort of hybrid of ash that they're better replant. But obviously that won't happen in our lifetimes. Well, the full extent of it won't. But there you go, very similar to COVID, and in a similar way, if COVID had been left to take its natural course, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. So, you know, as I say, I'm not a great believer that it's not a pandemic. You know, the World Health Organization changed the definition of a pandemic from death numbers to case numbers, and that is absolutely bang out of order. Because if it was just based on death numbers, as I say, it wouldn't be a pandemic. So check that one out. But yep, the old ash, far to me, is more worrying because, as I say, no matter what we do for the planet, in terms of hydrogen cars, etc., etc., nature and globalisation seem to be taking their course, and the sixth mass extinction will occur irrespective of what man does, I believe. Well, another wheat field margin we're going round now. And the other interesting thing is it doesn't affect mountain ash. Right, this just caps a bad day really. There's a herd of cattle there between me Where's that gate? Yep, there it is. That gate over there. I don't think I'm going to be able to get there without getting them cattle interested. Well, that's the gate, isn't it? And they are not far from it. Oh dear. So there are said bullocks standing right on the path, looking pretty aggressive as usual. But I've just managed to circumvent them by doing a bit of dodgy road walking, and dodgy it was as well. Even at 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening, pretty busy. Now, unbeknownst to me, and not shown on the map, is a new permissive bridleway down the other side of the hedge, avoiding the cattle. So there's me taking my life in my hands, and I could have avoided all of that, but it wasn't evident at the bottom of the field. Good grief, what a day. Not many careful drivers on this road, I can tell you. Back at Swanbourne. Well, here I am back at St Swithun's, and I've got absolutely nothing positive to say about that walk. First time I've said that in a long time. But it's just unwalkable at the moment, thanks to Crossrail, East-West Rail, or whatever they're called. That walk is a disaster. First 3 miles I hardly filmed anything because of the road walking, and then when I was meant to get back out into the countryside, we were diverted by footpath closures, which I don't think have been reported properly. So I've reported that back to the Ramblers, get them to sort it out, because the way it's been reported, i.e. about 100 yards from the closure instead of a mile or so before, is absolutely outrageous. So probably about a 1 out of 10 that walk, the 1 being for getting outside and getting some exercise, albeit on roads, and quite busy roads around here as well, I must admit. What is more, the first time I've been in the North Bucks area for a long time, and they are not very good at footpath maintenance either. So all in all, not much of a day really. The only good thing was, it did not rain. So, till the next time, when hopefully it will be more of a country walk, which, as I say, for Country Walking magazine, today's version was not very impressive. I haven't even bothered with the mileage today because I didn't start recording anything until a good couple of miles into the walk, and I reckon I've done about 13 today, judging by the time it's taken me. It's 7 o'clock now.